Hi. So far we have discussed different representations of graph theory, their properties, different types of circuits, coloring, and so many concepts we have discussed. So in practical applications, all these computations are usually done with the help of computers. Okay, so you will try to analyze a graph using computers or do various techniques in computers. So first of all, you should know how to represent graphs in computers. Okay, so for that we will be using the matrix approach. Okay, so will be as I told you, we are not interested in the actually how the picture of the graph looks like. A graph can look in any form. All the forms would be isomorphic. We are only interested in the connections between the vertices. Okay, so how many edges are coming out of a particular vertex? To all vertices are these edges going? So we are only interested in the connections between various vertices. Okay, so what we will do is that we will now try to represent the graph in a compact form using matrices. So these are basically used to calculate the graph properties of graphs using computers. Okay, so using computer representation, various types of matrices are used. We will be discussing all those types. The first type is incidence matrix. Okay, so we will be studying incidence matrix first. Okay, it's very simple. It's a very simple thing. So what we will do is that incidence matrix basically, suppose uh, we have VR vertices are there. Okay, VR vertices are there, are also En edges are there, then your matrix would be an R by N matrix. Okay, so if there are VR vertices and En edges, your matrix would be R by N matrix, where your rows will be corresponding to this vertices. For example, you will have V1, V2, etc. VR here, and also you will have E1, E2, etc. En here. So this is your corresponding matrix. So you will have rows corresponding to each of the vertices and columns corresponding to the edges. For example, suppose you have a graph like this. Suppose you have a graph like this. This is your graph. Okay, how to represent it using incidence matrix. Suppose this is your vector V1. This is your node V2, V3, V4. Also label the edges. Suppose this is E1, this is E2, this is E3, this is E4, E5. Okay, so there are 4 vertices and 5 edges, so you will have 4 by 5 matrix. Okay, so write down how to write down matrix. It is V1, V2, V3, V4. Corresponding edges are E1, E2, E3, E4 and E5. Okay, so how to write down? So if your edge EI is adjacent to a vertex VI, you will put 1 there. If it is not adjacent, you will put 0 there. That's it. Okay, suppose if an edge is incident to a vertex, you will put 1 in that corresponding column and row, and also if it is not adjacent, you will put it as 0. Okay, for example, if you look at the first column, E1 is incident at V1, so I'll put that as 1. Okay, similarly, look at this. Is E2 incident at V1? E2 is not incident at V1, so I'll put it as 0 there, right? Similarly, look at E3. Is E3 incident at V1? E3 is also not incident at V1, so it will put it as 0 there. And look at E4 now. E4 is incident at V1, so I'll put 1 there. And E5 also is incident at V1, so I'll put 1 there. Okay, that's very as simple as that. Now look at the next vertex, V2. Okay, so look at, now you know that E1 and E2 are incident at V2, so I'll put 1, 1 there. Rest none of the edges are incident at V2, so we can see that rest everything would be 0. Okay, now look at V3. We can see that E2, E3 and E5. So E2, E3 and E5 are incident, where no more edges are coming, so I'll just put it as 0. Okay, and similarly for you will have V3, V4. So for V4 you have E4 and E3 are coming, so you have 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. So this is the incidence matrix. Okay, so it's very simple thing. Just look at the graph and look at it for each edge which is incident at the vertex Vi. Just put 1 in that cell. If it is not incident, you will put 0 there. Okay, so this is called the incidence matrix. Okay, so similarly you can make some observations here. You can say that for each column you will have exactly 2 ones here. Okay, so for each column you will have exactly 2 ones here because an edge is incident at exactly 2 vertices. Okay, remember we are going to define this incidence matrix in our textbook only for graphs without self loops. Okay, so we are going to define the incidence matrix for graphs without self loops only. Okay, we are taking that liberty here, but in other textbooks they have also discussed this for self loops, but for our textbook only they have discussed it in with respect to those graphs without having self loops. Okay, so in other textbooks they generally put a value 2 for self loops, depends upon the textbook notation. So here we are considering those graphs without self loops. Okay, now you can see that at each column you have exactly 2 ones coming over there. Okay, so you can see that at each column there is exactly 2 ones, because we know that an edge is exactly incident at 2 vertices. And also if you look at the number of ones occurring at each row, you can see that it will add up to the degree of that vertex. For example, you can say that V1 has 3 edges coming into there, so total degree is 3. So the total number of ones in that corresponding row would be 3, which corresponds to degree of that vertex. So these many observations you can make from the incidence matrix. Okay, so let us see some examples now. So this is the definition of the incidence matrix. So I hope you can follow the definition matrix. For example, suppose there are n vertices and e edges, then we will be having an n by e matrix, and also we are taking it as no self loops are there. So this is how it is being defined. Okay, for example, let us see this example. Again, let us try to write the incidence matrix for this graph. How many vertices are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is a 4 by how many edges are there? E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, 4 by 5 matrix. So please write it down. How will you write it down? So we'll have V1, V2, V3, V4. Similarly, E1, E2, E3, E4, E5. Now look at V1. Which all vertices are coming? Which all edges are coming to V1? Only E1 and E2. Rest everything none is coming. Okay. Similarly, look at V2. Which all edges are coming? Which all edges are coming? E1 is coming. E4 is coming, E5 is coming, none others are coming. And look at V3. For V3 you have E2 is there, E4 is there, E5 is there, E3 is there. So except E1 everything is there. Okay, so except E1 everything is there. And again look at V4, only one edges is coming, that is E3. Okay, so that's it. So this is the corresponding incidence matrix. So this is just the incidence matrix. Okay, I hope it is clear. It is written here also. Okay, so this is how you write incidence matrix. So you can try this example also. Try to write down the incidence matrix of this graph also. Okay, so we'll now discuss the reverse problem also. How to draw a given graph from the incidence matrix. Okay, suppose you have a graph like this. How to draw the corresponding graph. Okay, you have been given incidence matrix, so you can draw it in any way you like. So before that, for ease of use, I'll call these vertices as V1, V2, V3, V4. This one is E1, E2, E3, E4, E5. So first of all, you can draw it in any shape. It's no issues there. Suppose I'll have 4 vertices. I'll call them as V1, V2, V3, and V4. Okay, and looking at the graph, I see that the E1 is coming at V1 and also going at V2. So this edge is E1 because E1 is going at V1 and V2. Similarly, E2 is going at again V1 and V2. Okay, so basically this is a parallel edge. Yeah, this is your E2. Again, E3 is going at V2 and V4. So E3 is going at V2 and V4. This is your E3. Okay. Similarly, E4 is going at V3 and V4. So this is your E4. And E5 is going at V1 and V4. So this is your corresponding. So this is your E5. This is your E4. So this is your corresponding matrix. Okay, for the incidence matrix. Okay, it's very simple thing. Okay, this is the correct one. Okay, so moving forward, let's make some observations here. Okay, so you can see that an incidence matrix contains only 2 elements, 0 and 1, as I already told you. So such a matrix is called a 0, 1 matrix. Okay, and usually you will say that the entries to this matrix comes from the Galois field modulo 2. Galois field is basically, you know, that your matrix contains scalars. Okay, scalars usually comes from a field. Okay, for usually it will be real numbers, complex numbers, but since our matrix contains only 0, 1, we'll say that it comes from a field which contains just 0, 1. Such a field is called Z2 or the Galois field modulo 2. Okay, which contains the operations of addition modulo 2 there. Okay, already have studied about addition modulo 2, multiplication modulo 2, etc. in your lower classes last semester. So addition modulo 2 is actually 0 plus 1 will be 1. Again 1 plus 0 will be 1, 1 plus 1 will be 0, like that. So that is addition modulo 2. You just add up these things and get the remainder when you divide by 2. Okay, so this will assume that the entries to this matrix are coming from the field Z2, because it is not needed for us to discuss for the field R and C, because only 0 and 1 are coming from are there in the entries in this matrix. So we will assuming that the entries are coming from the field Z2 or the Galois field modulo 2. Okay, so moving forward, you can see that since every edge is incident on exactly 2 vertices, each column has exactly 2 ones. Already you have discussed this concept. Okay, and also you know that when you add up all the rows, all the ones in each row, you will get the degree of the vertex. Okay, so I suppose if a row has only 0, that means no edges is incident on that vertex, and that means it is an isolated vertex. Okay, similarly parallel edges in a graph produce identical columns in its incidence matrix. We are just before we have seen that example when the first column had 1 1 1 1, like similarly second column had just 1 1. Okay, so parallel edges means it is both are incident at the same vertices, so both of their columns would be just the same. Okay, and moving forward we can see that if a disconnected graph could be written like this. Okay, so you know that in a disconnected graph we can see that it will contain two parts would be there, suppose your graph is like this, so these edges will only be lying, so suppose your graph vertices are v1 v2 v3, your vertices are v4 v5. So when you write down the columns corresponding to v1 v2 v3, and then you have v4 and then you have v5, you can see that these edges which are written here 1 2 3, these edges e1 e2 e3 will have some values other than 0 only in these three things here. Okay, for this v4 v5 column, definitely it will be 0 because those edges are lying in this component only. Okay, so similarly you will have in the right side also you will have, suppose this edge is just one edge is there, so suppose it is e4, e4 is not lying in v1 v2 v3 on that component, so always the value here will be 0. Only for v4 and v5 you will have non-zero values. So that means for a disconnected graph you could write the incidence graph will be like this. For the first component will be ag1, second component will be ag2. You can just take up an example of a disconnected graph and try to write down the incidence matrix. It will actually be partitioned like this. It will be like the form of a block matrix like this. Okay, so you know the block matrix you have studied in your linear algebra course, so it will be like that only. Okay, so moving forward, you know that similarly permutation of any two rows or columns. Permutation means if you interchange any rows or columns in the matrix, suppose you're just interchanging the rows or columns, only thing is that suppose you're changing this v3 and v2, if you write it like that, that means just you're going to call this matrix as this v2 will be called as v3 and this v3 will be called as v2. Okay, so if you just change the columns, that what will it mean is that your graph will be relabeled. That's it. Essentially the graph would be the same, only thing is that the vertices would be relabeled only. Okay, similarly for edges also, if you just change the column of e2 and e3, those edge which is called e2 will now be called e3. That's it. So just changing the rows and columns would not affect the diagram, only the labeling would be changed. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so there is one important result also. Two graphs would be isomorphic if their incident matrix can be obtained by just permuting the rows and columns. Okay, if you have two graphs, so basically isomorphic graphs, already you know that it is basically obtained by relabeling the vertices. So if you want to prove that, so a very simple way to prove isomorphism instead of the long procedure we studied before, what you have to do is that first you write down the incidence matrix of first graph, write down the incidence matrix of second graph, show that one graph is obtained from another by just changing the rows or columns. If you can do that, it means that the two graphs are isomorphic. So that's one very important result we can obtain from matrix representation, how to prove isomorphism by just using the incidence matrices. Okay, so that's a very simple thing here. Okay, so that's basically because the changing the rows or columns actually changes the labels only. Okay, that is what isomorphism also does. Okay, isomorphism is the same graph essentially except for the labeling of the vertices. Okay, so that is a theorem here. Okay, and one more concept is there, that is basically the rank of incidence matrix is always n minus. Suppose you have n vertices, the rank of incidence matrix is always n minus. That is one associated result with that. Okay, so incidence matrix of a connected graph has rank n minus 1. Okay, so that is what you mean by incidence matrix. Now next we will discuss another related matrix called adjacency matrix. Okay, so adjacency matrix is basically defined in terms of vertices only. Okay, so it will always be an n by n matrix. Okay, for example, if you have n vertices, you will have n rows and n columns. And how will you write down? It's basically very simple. For example, if my matrix, as I before, it is like, suppose it is like this one, you will have v1 v2 v3 v4 here. Okay, so write down the rows and columns with respect to all the vertices. So that means you will have v1 is there, v2 is there, v3 is there, v4 is there, v1 is there, v2 is there, v3 is there, v4 is there. Okay, So you will write 1 in a cell if the corresponding vertices are adjacent, otherwise we'll put it as 0. Okay, so V1 is not adjacent. So if there was a self loop, we can say that an edge is coming and out, coming out of V1 and reaching 1. So in that case, we'll put V1 is adjacent to V1 and we'll put it as 1 here. But here there are no self loops, so definitely we'll put here it as 0. Okay, now look at next one. You can see that V1 is adjacent to V2, so you'll have 1 here. Okay, and V1 and V3, again V1 and V3 are adjacent, so you'll have 1 here. V1 and V4 are adjacent here, so you have 1 here. Okay, go for V2 now. Now V2 and V1 is adjacent, so you'll have 1 here. V2 and V3 is adjacent, so you'll have 1 here. V2 and V2 is not adjacent, so 0 here. And V2 and V4 is not adjacent, so 0 here. Okay, very easy thing. You can go for V3. It is adjacent to V1, V2, V3 it is not adjacent, and V4 also. And for V4 you have it is adjacent to V1, not V2, V3, and also not V4. Okay, so this is how you write the incidence matrix. It's always a square matrix. It's always a square matrix. Okay, in the other case, it need not be a square matrix because the number of edges could be more or less than the number of vertices. Okay, so adjacency matrix is always a square matrix. Okay, suppose you have a self loop here. So one loop is there. So in that case, we will put here as 1 here. Okay, and moreover, one more thing is there. So because we are only writing vertices if it is adjacency, we are only putting 1 if the vertices are adjacent. So there is no use of parallel edges here. Okay, so already if V3 and V4 are adjacent, even if you have parallel edges also, the value of that cell will still be 1 only. Okay, so this definition does not make any scope for a presence of this parallel edges. Even if there are parallel edges, there is no change going to happen. Okay, so parallel edges are not considered here. Okay, but in some textbooks they also consider parallel edges, so you have to be careful. But in our prescribed textbooks, this is a convention which is being followed, so I'll also follow only this convention. Okay, so this is the idea. So they have taken there are no parallel edges. Okay, you will be getting an n by n symmetric matrix. Symmetric because if you have V3 is adjacent to V2, V2 also will be adjacent to V3, therefore always you will be getting a symmetric matrix only. Okay, so you can, this is just a simple observation. Okay, let us look at this example here. So we look at this graph here. So this graph has how many vertices? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vertices are there. So we'll have 6 by 6 matrix. So we'll have V1 would be there, V2, V3, V4, V5 and V6. Similarly, you will have V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. No self loops are there, so all the diagonal elements would be just 0. Okay, so all diagonal elements would be 0. If there were self loops, I'll put the diagonal element as 1. So no self loops are there, so all diagonals will be simply 0. Okay, now V1 is adjacent to V2, so we'll have 1 here. Okay, so V1 is adjacent to V2 again. So therefore V2 is also adjacent to V1, so 1 here also will be there. Okay, and V1 and V3, look at V3. V3 is not adjacent to V1, so 0. V1 and V4 is also not adjacent, so 0. V1 and Y5 is adjacent, and V1 and V6 is adjacent. Okay, go for V2 now. Now V2 and V3 is not adjacent. Okay, and similarly V2 and V4 is adjacent. Okay, similarly V2 and V5, look at the graph, V2 and V5 is adjacent. V2 and V6 is not adjacent. Okay, go for V3 now. V3 and V1 not adjacent. V3 and V2 not adjacent. Okay, V3 and V4 is adjacent here. V3 and V5 is not adjacent. And look at V3 and V6 not adjacent. Okay, similarly you can fill up this matrix. So this is the matrix here, please check it out yourself. So it's very simple to write down adjacency matrix. Okay, so we can try to do this example also. If you want, I'll try to do it for you. So you have 4 vertices are there, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. Okay, no self loop, so 0 here. A and B are adjacent, A and D are adjacent, A and C are adjacent. Okay, similarly B and A are adjacent, B and B are not adjacent, B and C are adjacent, B and D are not adjacent. Go for C now. C and A are adjacent, C and B are adjacent, C and C is not adjacent, C and D is not adjacent. And go for D now. D and A are adjacent, D and B are not adjacent, D and C are not adjacent, D and D is also not adjacent. Okay, so this is your corresponding adjacency matrix. You can check it out. Okay, so similarly, how to draw a graph if the given adjacency matrix is given to you? That's also very simple. So you will have 4 vertices here, V1, V2, V3, V4, V1, V2, V3, V4 here. Okay, so 4 vertices, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the diagonal entries are 0, so no less self loops. V1 and V2, so suppose this is your V1, this is your V2, this is your V3, this is your V4. Okay, V1 and V2 are adjacent, so 1. Okay, V1 and V3 are adjacent, so 1. Okay, V2 and V1 are adjacent, so that's already we have done it. V2 and V3, V2 and V2 is not adjacent, V2 and V3 is not adjacent, V2 and V4, V2 and V4 is adjacent. Okay, similarly V3 and V1 are adjacent, V3 is then adjacent to V4. Okay, so this one. Again V4 is adjacent to V2, already you have done that. V4 is adjacent to V3, nothing else. So this is your corresponding graph. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Okay, so moving forward, you know that the entries along the principal diagrams are 0. Okay, so if there are no self loops, we will all have the entries of diagonal elements as 0 there. Okay, so no parallel edges have defined it, and also if there are no self loops, the degree of a vertex will equals the number of ones in the corresponding row or column. Okay, that's also very correct, because if we can see that the degree of vertex A would be simply 2, which is same as here. Okay, so it corresponds to the same row, just like your incidence matrix. Okay, now the next one is of two other miscellaneous matrices are there to represent circuits and paths. One is called circuit matrix here. Okay, so circuit matrix is very simple. Suppose you have a graph, first of all you write down, suppose there are 3 circuits in the graph and maybe there are 10 edges, so it will be a 3 by 10 matrix. Okay, and the first row, the rows will corresponding to circuit. Suppose the circuit 1 is C1, circuit 2 is C2, circuit 3 is C3, and suppose these are your edges. Okay, suppose your edges are going like this. Suppose your edge E1 is there in the circuit C1, you will put 1 there. If it is not there, you will put a 0. Suppose if E2 is there in the circuit, you will put that as 1 there. If it is not in that circuit, you will put 0 there. So this is how you represent circuit matrix. Okay, so very simple thing. For example, we will do an example here. Okay, we will make an example here. Look at this one here. Like this graph here. So how many circuits are there? So here there is one circuit. Here there is one circuit, here there is one circuit, overall there is one more circuit. So basically 4 circuits are there. Okay, I'll label, maybe I'll just write down circuits here. One circuit is just E1, E2. Another circuit is, if you want, E3, E5, E7. Another circuit is E3, E5, E7, right? This triangle portion. Next one is E4, E7, maybe I'll call it as E6. So E6, E4, E7. Okay, one more circuit is the full graph, that is actually E3, E5, E4, E6. Okay, E3, E4, E5, E6. Okay, so 4 circuits are there. So write down. So one you can write C1 or Z1, C2, Z3, Z4, circuit 1, circuit 2, etc. So E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6, E7. Okay, now look. C1 contains which all edges E1 and E2. So I'll put 1, 1 there, rest everything will be 0. Okay, C2 contains E3, E5 and E7. So this one 0, E3 1, E5 1, E7 1. Okay, next one C3 contains E4, E6 and E7. So 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1. And C4 contains E3, E5, E4, E6. So 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. Okay, so this is your corresponding circuit matrix. It can be in any order. If you write down this as your C3 also, no issue. Only the changes only change will be that your rows will be interchanged. Okay, so you can write down the circuit in any order. So it's very simple, but I always be careful to identify all the circuits. At first glance, maybe you'll see only 3 circuits here, but actually there are 4 circuits in this graph. Okay, so that's a circuit matrix. Okay, you can try this example also. So how many circuits do you see? So I see 1 is there, 2 is there, 3 is there, again 4 is there like this, right? Okay, 5 is there like this. Okay, again 6 is there like this, and 7 is there. So totally 7 circuits are there in this graph. Okay, just check it out. Okay, so just check those things. So 7 circuits are there. You can see one here. So if you want, I'll mark it for you. One is just E1, E2, another is just E2, E7, and there is E1. So sorry, one is E1, E2, other is E2, E7, E8 also is there. Okay, the other one is just E1, E8, E7. Okay, so 3 we have got. Again, go for this one. One is E7, E4, E6, E, E6, E6, E5, this portion. Another one would be E5, E6, E4, E8, E2. Okay, another one would be E5, E6, E7, E8, and E1. And finally you will have this just E9. Okay, so please try to draw that circuit also. So even if it is self loop, you will just have that E9, the portion of E9 you will have just a one time. Okay, so this is the circuit matrix, you can check it out. So just do it there also. Okay, so writing down the circuit matrix. Okay, finally one more matrix is there, that's called the path matrix. Now path matrix is basically not defined for all the entire graph, it is actually defined for two vertices. For example, suppose your graph has two vertices, maybe four vertices are there, V1, V2, maybe I'll put one more here, V3, V4, V5. Okay, now path matrix is basically defined for two vertices. For example, it will be suppose V1 and V3. So therefore this will be around some one matrix would be there. Similarly for V1 and V2 there will be another matrix like that. It will be called, it's called a path matrix. It is defined for two vertices. Okay, we will be taking two vertices at a time. Now how will you define it? Why is that? First you take all the paths from V1 to V3. Look at all the paths here. So here what will be the paths here? It is V1 is there, V2 is there, V3 is there. Okay, so suppose this is your E1, E2, E3, E4, E5. Okay, so V1, V2, V3 is there. So V1, E1, so it is V1, E1, V2, E2, V3. And another path is this one. Okay, so that is V1, E5, V5. Okay, now we are going like this, E4, V4, E4, V4, E3, V2, E2, E3. So write down all the paths first of all. Okay, so write down all the paths first of all, and then you write down. So you can so suppose there are m paths are there. For example, first path is there. First path is this, second path is this, third path is this. Okay, so three paths are there, and suppose you have five edges. So E1, E2, E3, E4, E5. Okay, now if E1 lies in the first edge, you will write it as first path, you will write 1 here. If E2 does not lie in the first path, you will put 0 here. If E3 does not lie in the first path, you will put 0 here, like that you will put there. Okay, so in this example you have two paths are there. So also you have E1, E2, E3, E4, E5. Okay, two paths are there, path 1 and path 2. Okay, and now in path 1 you have just E1 and E2, so here only 1, 1, rest everything would be 0. And in path 2 you have E5 is there, E4 is there, E3 is there, E2 is there. So E1 was not there. So 0, 1, 1, 1, 1. So this is the corresponding path matrix between V1 and V3. Okay, similarly you can give a path matrix between V1 and V2 consisting of just E1 or this also. That also you can try to. Okay, so this is the example. So here we have written the path matrix between V3 and V4. If you want, we can do it again. So how to write the path matrix between V3 and V4? Just write down the paths first of all. What are the paths? So this is your V3, this is your V4, this is your V4. Okay, this is your V4. How will you write down the paths here? So one path is V3, E8, V2, E5, V4. That is this one, this one, this one. Okay. So next path is we can come through here, go here, and come. That's one way. Or you can come through this way and come here. Okay. So I will write it as V3, E8, V2, again E7, I'm coming to this way, V5, E3, so E3, V4. Next one is V3, E8, V2, E6, V1, E4, V5, E3, V4. Okay, so let us write down now. How will you write down the matrix? So for three paths there are three rows, corresponding edges are E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6, E7 and E8. Okay, look at the first path. This is the first path. In first path only E5 and E8 are there, so only that much is there. Rest everything would be 0. In the second path you have E8 is there, E7 is there, E8 is there, E7 is there, and again E3 is there. Okay, so E3 is there, E7 is there, E8 is there, nothing else is there, so you just put 0. And now in the third path you have E8 is there, E6 is there, E3 is there, E4 is there. So E3 is there, E4 is there, E6 is there, E8 is there, nothing else is there. So that is the corresponding path matrix. Okay, so these are the matrix representation, different matrix representation which are studied in graph theory. Okay, there are also matrix representation for directed graphs also, but it is not mentioned in the syllabus, so I will not be taking that, but that is also very simple. Okay, so suppose you have a directed edge, I'll just write it down. Suppose you have directed edge like this, v1 to v2. So in the case of incidence matrix and everything, you will write c1 only from v1 and v2. Okay, so not in incidence matrix, you'll write it in case of adjacency matrix. Okay, in the case of adjacency matrix, you can represent even directed graphs also. For example, if an edge is there from v1 to v2, I'll put 1 there, but in from v2 to v1, I'll put either 0 or -1. Okay, so that is the convention used for directed graphs in many textbooks, but since it is not mentioned in your syllabus, I'll just omit it. Okay, so that's all. Thank you.